YouTube, what's happening? It is Friday, July 5th. You can see we have a full slate of baseball to talk about. Drop a like, subscribe if you haven't, and share it to your friends who keep losing because over here, we ain't losing. We went 10-8 yesterday, plus 2.8 units. That puts us almost 10 units for the week, 42 for the last 30 days, and we finally hit that 80 mark for the season. We're just chugging along, slowly building. Next goal is 90. After that's 100. We're just trying to grow around here. So again, drop a like, subscribe, let all your friends know, because I know you got friends out there that they just keep paying for picks and they keep losing. Why pay for picks when you can come over here and get them for free? Because I'm going to keep them free, because I'm going to do this every day for free for you guys. Because one, you help me out by watching the videos, and I help you out by giving you data. I don't give out picks, I give out data. And that's what we're going to do today. We got 15 games. Let's go ahead and jump to that first one right now. All right, first game, we got the Angels and the Cubs. We got Canning 3-8 up against Steele, who's 0-3 with a 3.46. Nervy's highlighted at 60%. We'll take a look at that depending on the pitchers. Looking at the odds, we see that the Cubs are a pretty heavy favor at home. Total is 10.5 across the board. Looking at the bats, there's a clear advantage for Chicago here, which is weird for the Cubs because they're usually not in the spot. Angels only getting 1.7 runs a game in their last three for 30th, batting 211 for 25th. Cubs, they're getting 5.7 runs a game for 6 in their last three, while getting 255 for batting for 9th. So we got a clear advantage and clear trend lines too. Angels trending down, Cubs trending up. Strikeouts 8 versus 10.3. Cubs are striking out a little more than you'd like. So we could, look a little bit at some Canning strikeouts and see if that's a thing. But what we're looking at here is Cubs are clearly favored with the bats. Angels are cold, so we want to see what can off play those. So let's look at the pitchers first. Steele, you can see what he does, 3.2 with a 107. You can see his games. June was his month outside of his Milwaukee game, which that's not bad against Milwaukee. It's 6-2, 4-2, 3-0. Good numbers overall, pretty good numbers. Canning, his numbers, hasn't faced the Cubs. 6-4, 5-1, 8-4, 4-4. So he gives more runs. So we see there's an advantage for Chicago in the pitching as well. So far, with these two pitchers, since Canning has been inclined to give up more runs, I'm not going to do a nerfy in this one. I'm not feeling it because of and you mix in the Cubs offense too. The Cubs offense could ruin that real quick. Angels, I ain't worried about. So let's pop over to, no, for the odds for 10.5, we're not going to take a total. I don't trust the Angels to help with that on the over, and I don't trust the Cubs to keep it under, so it's a pass. Side, yeah, the Cubs are favored. Yeah, I would take the Cubs on the money line, but 200. Whew. So if anything, I might take Cubs on a alt line or run line. I'll take Cubs 1.5 for basically even money. Sure, I'll do that. I'll take that. Let's look at some props too. We said that we would look over at some Canning strikeouts, so we'll pop over to Outlier. If you don't know what Outlier is, I'm using it every day for every game now. This is a system that gives me the data I need to give you information. It's awesome. I love it. I'm glad I work with them. So there's a link in the description. You can check it out for free. It's awesome. Go check it out. So Canning over strikeouts here against the Cubs. His number's 4.5. He's not a strikeout dude. So that's a pass all day. Maybe looks like a steal because the Angels don't give up many runs. I mean, the Angels bats are pretty terrible right now. So Steele's number's 2.5. I'm tempted to take under 2.5, to be honest, just because of how poor the Angels offense is. 1.7 runs in their last three, 4.1 in their last 2 weeks. Only batting 211 for 25th. They're trending down. Yeah, we'll do that. I'll take Steele. Yeah, Steele under 2.5 earned runs. It can. Yeah, we'll do that. That's what I feel. So we're going to take Steele under 2.5 earned runs. We're going to take Cubs on the run line today against the Angels and move on to the next game. Next up, we got the Mets and the Pirates. We got Severino 5-2 against Skeens 4-0. Nerfy 51%. We'll talk about that in a minute. Looking at the odds, Pittsburgh is a slight favorite at home. Over under 7.5, 8 are your totals out there. Looking at the bats, Mets are struggling. 4 runs a game for middle of the road, but their batting average is 29th in the last 3 games for 168. Pittsburgh is 3.7 runs for 19th while batting 245. So you can see there, those are, it's Pittsburgh's average and Mets are worse than average, and they're just struggling to hit the ball, period, and they're striking out a good bit. They faced Irving yesterday from Washington. He struck out, what, 8 dudes, and his number was 5.5. So we will most likely be taking a Paul Skeens strikeout prop. So let's look at the pitchers first. We see Skeens himself. You can see what he does. Outside of his Dodger game, he's been pretty good. He has not faced the Mets. Severino, on the other hand, he's had a couple games where he's touchable. He's been touched a few times, but other than that, he pitches gems. So this is a gamble with him. He's a roller coaster. We're going to get what we hope for. Is he going to give up some runs? Yeah, it's up in the air. So for this one, we have options. I say Pittsburgh has the advantage in pitching. I say they have the slightest advantage in bats. Do I want to take them on a minus 125, 124 money line? No, not for the full game. I don't. So because I don't trust Pittsburgh's bullpen. Let's be honest, their bullpen is not the best. So if anything, I want to take Pittsburgh. Actually, we're not going to take that. We're not going to toss the side. I thought about taking like the first 5, but Skeens is a rookie. We got to remember this. He's a beast, but let's remember here, the dude is a rookie. He is 22 years old. He's eventually going to have a bad game. He's not going to come out and Cy Young it his first season, let's be honest. So eventually he's going to have one. No. If anything, we're going to take the Nerfy because I think Skeens and Severino can pitch good enough to keep them under a run. And mainly we're going to go with this 168 batting average that the Mets are having, and Pittsburgh is middle of the road on batting. So we're going to hope they don't score a run in the first inning. So we're taking a Nerfy for sure. Now let's pop over to Outlier. Look at some props real quick. Skeens strikeout prop is at 7.5. It seems like it's 7.5 every game. So 8, 8, 7, 8, 9. And the Mets are swinging at 22nd most strikeouts, 25th in the past week. Yeah, we'll take the over 7.5. What's that? What's the best number here? Let's see. Best number looks like, yeah, you can get 136 all the way to 150. Whew, that's a range. So yeah, there's plenty of numbers out there. You can get some good numbers. So definitely going to take that. Not going to take a side. Don't really want to touch 8, 7.5. Don't want to touch those. Like I said, I'm not going to take Pittsburgh money line. I just don't trust the bullpen, and I don't. Why? I'm gonna take a Nerfy, get 6 quick outs, and then sit back and just root for Skeens to strike out Mets. That's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna do that and move on to the next game. Next up is St. Louis and Washington. We got Sonny Gray 9-5 up against Corbin 1-8. Nerfy is highlighted at 66% based on what they've done this year. That's probably gonna be a pass for me with these pitchers. Looking at the odds, we see St. Louis is heavily favored on the road, 8, 9.5 for the totals. Looking at the bats, advantage St. Louis 4.7 versus 3.3 on the runs. 277 versus 213. Yeah, St. Louis has the advantage with the bats. I say maybe even a moderate advantage here. Looking at the pitching, Corbin's going out there. As most of you know, Corbin's one of my 3 dudes I try not to bet. Corbin, Alex Manoah, and Lance Lynn are my 3 dudes. They have burned me so many times. I try to leave them alone. We all have that list of people and teams we just don't bet. We all have it. Don't act like you don't, because I know you do. So either way, but I gotta admit, Corbin's pitching pretty good. Outside this rough game against the Mets, 4-1, 3-1, 5-3. These are good for him. I'm used to him giving up 8, 10 runs at times, so this is good for him. So, and Gray, on the other hand, dude's been outside of. I mean, he hit 4, 3, 3. To be honest, his numbers kind of look like Corbin's, but he strikes out more dudes. His ERA is 13th in the majors with a .99 whip. Corbin's at a 5.49 with a 1.53. Yeah, Sonny Gray is the better pitcher, let's be honest here. The one thing I'm noticing is people are going to see all these strikeouts he has, and they're going to run to take a strikeout prop. I would caution that because, yes, if you come over to his strikeout prop, it's 5.5. Why is it? And it's at plus money. There's a reason for that. People are going to say, oh, look all the green. Look what he's done here. 8, 5.5, over all day. And you'd see this and you're like, you should be asking, why is it plus? Why? Because everyone has it plus. Well, this plus because Washington doesn't strike out. Look at the numbers. They're third in the last 2 weeks at 6.8. They only strike out a handful of times a game, much less in the first 5, 6 innings against the starter, who, if they don't strike out against the relievers, I'm sure they're striking out against the starter. So if you want to bet your hard-earned coin trying to sweat out 5.5 when Sonny Gray's in the 6th inning, sitting at 5 at 87 pitches thinking he might get pulled, by all means, enjoy it. I'm not doing it because, yeah, he's hitting these numbers, but these aren't against teams that don't strike out. So good luck. Because I know a lot of people will take this prop today. It'll be all over Twitter. It'll be everywhere. If it hits, congratulations. But outside of that, I'm not doing it. So the only thing I'm looking at here is St. Louis they have a pitching advantage slightly based on the numbers, probably more than slightly. St. Louis is better with the bats, which means I don't trust the total. I don't trust 8.5 or 9. I do think St. Louis wins. Do I want to take 178 or 190? No, of course not. I will take the run line. We're going to do the same thing as the Cubs. At the end of the video, all these run lines, I'm going to take their just money line counterpart and put them in a parlay. That's what I'm going to do today. We'll have a little fun with it. So we've been having a few days green in a row now. So, but it's going to be St. Louis run line -1.5, and because we're getting almost even money to get -110. Yeah, -110 on a run line. Yeah, all day, sure. So we'll take that. Money line will go on a parlay later on, and we'll just move on to the next game. All right, next up, we got a rivalry. We got Boston and the Yankees. Boston's 1-4. Yankees have lost 3. The Yankees got swept by the Reds. If I was a Yankee fan, when's a good time to start freaking out? Because they probably are by now. I'm not a Yankee fan, but I'm sure they're freaking out. Hawk 7-6 against Cortez Jr. 4-7 today. Murphy 45.7. Not with these pitchers. No shot. Odds, we have the Yankees are favored though. Interesting. They're favored actually pretty decently. 8.5. So the totals out there. Looking at the bats, we see Boston's bats are actually doing things that Yankees wish they could do. 7 runs a game for second in the majors in their last 3. The Yankees 3.3 for 20th. 270 batting for Boston for the last 3 for 6. Meanwhile, Yankees are batting a smooth 182. That's what you like to see in New York with them big, heavy contracts. 182 batting for 27th, hanging out with the likes of the Marlins and the A's. Yep, that's New York baseball in July of 2024. So only thing that is standing out here, yeah, Boston has a clear advantage offensively. They are striking out a ton. 12 strikeouts is their average in the last 3 for 30th. So we will 100% be looking at a Cortez strikeout prop. And we'll look at all the props anyways. And you can see the Yankees are number 1 in strikeouts at 4.7. So we will not be looking at a Hawk strikeout prop. So you can see Boston has the advantage of the bats. Pop over to the pitching. We get old Mr. Tanner Hawk Tua right here. Had a rough game against San Diego. He gives up runs. I mean, that's just what he does. I mean, that's just his thing. You know, he should trademark it. I give up runs. Yeah, put on a shirt. So that's what he does. Cortez, he gives up runs too. So outside of his game against Baltimore, he pitched a gem. It was 5 hits, but nothing earned. I mean, both these pitchers give up runs. So what's the over under 8? Yeah, I like that. We're gonna take an over of 8 because I think Boston's offense is good enough to get some runs. The Yankees, I mean, when you're at the bottom, you tend to break out. I mean, last game they did bat 206. So when they got 4 runs, that might be a breakout for them. So who knows? So I think maybe the Yankees can get something off of Mr. Tanner Hawk here. Boston should be able to get plenty off of Cortez here. I don't trust the money line, to be honest. I would never bet the Yankees favored right now. And I don't trust Boston. The bats are on fire. I don't want to back a pitcher who is giving up numbers like that in his last game. I need to see what happens in his next game. So let's pop over stats. I said we would look at Cortez strikeouts. Not good. So 6.5 is total. Yeah, Boston swinging at everything, but I mean, 7's the most he's done. I mean, all season he has 9. That's his most he's ever done all season. So it's plus 112 for a reason. Yeah, we'll pass on that. But I did notice one clicking around over here. He gives up hits and is only 4.5. And if Boston's swinging the bat this well, 270 for 7 runs, I like this. I'm going to take over. It's 125. Yeah, you can get that DraftKings 125. So you can get numbers around there. Over 4.5 hits. He's hit it in 17 out of, well, yeah, a lot. That's wow. You see, yeah, so we're going to take that. We're going to take his over 4.5 hits allowed. Hope Boston can get some hits off him. We're not going to take his earned run. Let me go back to his last few games. Yeah, I don't trust Boston's bet that much. So yeah, we have that. So those are the 2 props I like. So that's what we're going to go with. Hawk, none of his props look good, just to be honest. So I'm trying not to take more than 2 bets per game because otherwise you get into a lot of bets. So for this one, we're going to take Cortez over 4.5 hits allowed, and I'm going to take that over 8 overall for that total and move on to the next game. Next up, we have Detroit and Cincinnati. We have Olsen 2-8 against Spires 2-1. Nerfy 45.5. Not with this offense and these pitchers. Europe, you can stay highlighted, not a chance either. Odds, we can see Cincy is slightly favored, 9.5 for the total out there. The bats, they're both getting runs, 5 and 5.3 for 10th and 11th in the last 3 games. Cincy somehow swept the Yankees in a 3-game series while only batting 173 as a team. I don't know how they did it. Magic, maybe? I don't know. So 28th in the majors in batting average. They swept the 3-game series. Amazing. Detroit 230. They're both in the bottom half of the strikeout, so they're not super bad, but they're not great. They're not even mid. They're just So bats, nothing stands out. They're pretty much the same. Looking at pitching, we got Spires out here. You can see his games. Nothing really. This is his worst game on the screen. 7-4 against Pitt. That's his worst game overall. Not bad, but he's only started last 2 games. Olsen, he's a full-time starter, but he had a couple rough games out there, but then he's settled down a lot since then. So to me, I don't really want to back either of these pitchers. I don't, because to me, they're kind of the same. It's just because Spires has much less of a sample size for starting, which he's only started these 3 games, because then he has this one against the Cubs too. So outside of that, he was 3 innings here and there. So it's hard to really get information. The number's about the same. 313 versus 332, 120 whip versus 115. They're about the same dude. It's just Olsen has a couple games where he got blown up on, but then he has a couple games where he bounced back. So Olsen's more of a roller coaster. Spires is more consistent. I would still probably give the advantage maybe to Spires. We need to see more of a sample size, but probably about the same. We already know bats are about the same. Nothing really stands out outside the batting average. That's it. But then again, it's not much of a difference. So far, they're pretty close knit. Nothing really stands out. So that knocks out the total. That knocks out the money line. I'm not taking a Nerfy with these 2 offenses because they can score runs somehow. They're getting runs. And all that leaves are props. So let's look at our props then. We pop over to Olsen first. We can see, earned runs, strikeouts for the year, hits, nothing standing out in these. Nothing I'm just like, ooh, I want that to either direction. Walks, 1.5, no. Spires, yeah, I need more data on Spires to really do anything. So I'm not going to touch that. So for me, everything looks weird, so I'm just going to pass on this entire game and move on to the next one. All right, next up, we got the Giants at the Guardians. One website has Howard starting today. The other ones are undecided. I don't know if they know something the others don't, but we'll assume Howard's starting in case something's off. But we know Bobby is going to start for Cleveland, and you can see the numbers, 55.3 Nerfy. We'll see. Odds, we have Cleveland as a pretty heavy favorite at home, 8.5 across the board. You see MGM, if they don't know who the pitcher is, they ain't putting lines out. I like that. I like a book that does that. So batting, you can see 3.3 runs a game for the Giants for 20th. Meanwhile, Cleveland's 5.7 for 6. That's advantage Cleveland. 198 versus 240. That's 26 for San Fran, which is terrible. Cleveland, 15th, middle of the road. Advantage Cleveland. 10.3 strikeouts versus 6. The Giants are striking out a good bit, so we will look at Bobby strikeouts. Looking at the pitchers, we have old Mr. Tanner here, his game log. You can see what he's done. He has been striking out. He has a couple double digits. Last game, he only struck out 3 against KC, 7, 12, 11, 7. So yeah, we will probably looking, if the number's right on some Bobby strikeouts, we will definitely be taking those. So let's go ahead and pop over to Outlier and take a look at that. So we can see his K-prop is 6.5. He is facing... Yeah, he's hit that number pretty easily. The juice is 119 for over 6.5. We can see the Giants are striking out a good bit, so I will be taking that. That'll be a play we're taking. Over 6.5 Ks. And you can see the numbers where you can get it. Oh, the 119 is prize picks and underdog. Pfft. Yeah, no. We don't use prize picks around here. There's so many better options. So it's one at a normal book, you can get about 130, which is not bad. So not bad at all. Overall, let's look at his earned runs. Nothing stands out. Hits, nothing stands out. Walks are kind of impressive. Looking back at the bats, we see the Giants are striking out and not really walking, so that could be an option, but I will stick with the strikeouts here. I'll stick with the strikeout prop because it's more fun to root for, let's be honest. Since we don't know the other pitcher officially, we don't know if it's Howard or not. I don't really have, I can't do props on him or not. So for this one, since we don't know anything, all we do know is San Fran's bats are pretty cold. We know Bibee is pitching for Cleveland. We see his stats. I don't want to touch the side because we don't know who San Fran's officially sending out there. We don't want to touch any of that stuff. So all I'm going to do is take Bibee over 6.5 strikeouts and move on to the next game. All right, next up, we got a fun one. We got the White Sox and the Marlins. Ooh, the ticket price is going to be skyrocketed for this game. Thorpe 2-1 versus Hoeing 0-0 with 19 innings versus 20 innings. Studs here, let me tell you. Nerfy 57%. No, can't do it. No. You can see the odds. I mean, there are odds out there. If you want to play this game, by all means, there's some odds out there. We're looking at, it's about to pick them to Miami being slightly favored. You can see the bats. Chicago, 6 runs a game in the last 3 for 5th in the majors while batting 266. Miami is 3.3 for 20th while batting 220 for 23rd. So White Sox had the advantage of the bats again for like the 6th, 7th game in a row now. They've been doing pretty good. 10.3 strikeouts versus 11 strikeouts. So we will try to see if we can get some props going. Maybe some strikeout props to these because both teams are striking out a good bit. Pitching, we look at Hoeing and he is a reliever. So no props for him. Sorry, can't do it because we never know how long he's going to pitch. So it is a bullpen game for the Marlins. Enjoy. So we see that. That instantly makes me not want to do that. And Thorpe here has only pitched 4 games, one of which was 3 innings, a couple 6-inning games, 4 or 5. We actually do have props for him. We could actually pop over and take a look at real quick in the old outlier tab here. In 2024, earned strikeouts, earned runs. Nothing's looking good. Nothing's looking good at all. So for me personally, this game is terrible. I'm just gonna be honest. This game is awful. Games like this, I just don't want to touch. I mean, I'm brother. What's that? Oh, see, no, can't do it. So to me, I'm just gonna pass this entire game and just move on to the next one. All right, next up we got Philly and Atlanta. We got Nola 9-4 up against Fried 7-3. Nerfy's 34% with these pitchers. I don't think so. Nerfy 17. That's the highest Nerfy I've seen this year. 17.3 with these teams. Oh no. Nope. Pass. Can't do it. No. So looking at the odds, you see Atlanta is a moderate favorite at home. You got 7.5s with 1.8 out there for your totals. Looking at the bats, we see 4.3 for Philly, their last 3 for 13th. Atlanta, 2.7 for 27th. They love living in that bottom 10 range while batting 253. They've come up on the averages. They're 11th now in the last 3. Meanwhile, Philly's 233. So they have crossed each other now. So you can see Philly's getting the runs, but the average is going down. Atlanta doesn't get the runs, but the average is going up. So that's interesting. But what the main thing we see is both teams are striking out. Philly's striking out 11 times a game in the last 3 for 27th. And you're going up against Fried, who likes to strike out people? That's a prop worth taking, I think. And then you see Atlanta's 9.7. We'll look at Nola too, see what he does. So let's go ahead and look at the pitchers. He hasn't faced Atlanta recently, but you can see he's got rough. That Boston game was oof. But 3-3-1, a gem against Milwaukee of all teams. And then so you see he's probably close to giving like 3-ish runs a game. Fried, on the other hand, hasn't faced Philly, but a beautiful game against Washington. 4-2, 6-4, 4-1, 6-1, 6-1. Much better pitcher. To me, Fried's easily better than Nola. So we have an advantage of Atlanta with the pitching. Bats are crisscross. They cancel each other out, so there's no advantage of the bats. So all we have is Atlanta and a favorite with the pitching. Main thing I want to look at is going to be the strikeout props for Fried. Strikeouts, we can see it is at 5.5. Wow, okay. He's been not striking. Yeah, he had a 13 game against Boston, but other than that, he's been struggling a little bit. Philly is striking out a ton. We do get plus money out there. So yeah, I'm personally going to take some free strikeouts today. Fried over, and that's what, 5.5 Ks? Yeah, I'm down for that because Philly's swinging and missing a lot. So other than that, earned runs, not really. Hits, no. Walks, I mean, he does walk some, but not really worth jumping on. Let's look at Nola real quick. Nola's earned runs, his strikeouts, his numbers right. You can see he is consistent around that 6 number. So I don't hits, walks, yeah, nothing's really standing out. So far, all I like in the prop area is going to be old Mr. Max here with his 5.5. Now looking at the totals and the actual odds here, I'm not taking a Nerfy. That's a pass. Sides, I think Atlanta has the better pitching. Philly's offense is a little weird. They're getting runs, but their average is dropping, which is odd to me. So that concerns me. So I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave this whole alone as well. We're just going to take the Mr. Max 5.5 strikeout prop. We're just going to take that and move on to the next game. All right, next up we got Tampa and Texas. Model is showing Baz. Certain places are showing Baz, but it's up in the air. My model is broken when it comes to Baz. I cannot figure out why. It's going to take a deep dive to figure out. This is why I don't sell the model, because it gives me a name, but it doesn't spell out the numbers like it's supposed to. Some formula broke somewhere along the line. I have to go figure it out. So this is why I don't sell the model. Let's throw it out there. This is why I just show it. I don't sell it. If I could use it like this, it works for me. So, and I don't want to break it on you. So, but we know Lorenzen is starting for Texas. He's 4-4. We're not going to even talk about Nerf here right now. We can see Texas is slightly favored at home, 8.5 across the board. For the bats, Tampa's bats are hot. 5.7 with a 2.73. That's 6th and 5th in the majors. Texas 4 and 255. That's 16th and 9th. Overall, the bats are pretty hot in this game. Might want to take an over of 8.5. Maybe. Anything we do know Lorenzen's pitching. So that's what we do know. He's got a 3.4, 1.18. You can see his game. He got roughed up against Baltimore last game. 5-2, 4.3, 4.1, 7.2, 5.0. That's what we see out there. So other than that, it's, those are pretty good numbers. Now, if we want to look at Baz, I mean, we can, but it makes me chuckle because 2022 is the last data we have. So what are we going to do with that? We don't know. So that's weird. Can't do it. So I can't. So all I can really look at is the teams as a whole, which when you look at the bats, you see, okay, Tampa's advantage with the bats somewhat, maybe taking over, but then I can come over to outlier and look at Lorenzen props. We know Lorenzen's going to pitch. We know this. So hits, strikeouts, earned runs, nothing standing out. Nothing really says, I want to take that. Maybe walks, but Tampa's bats are so hot right now. I don't know if I want to take that. So I'll lay off on that. With the bats being where they are, I can't take a side. I shouldn't take a total unless I know who the pitcher is for sure. We can't really take props because nothing looks good. So for me, this entire game is just going to be a pass. We're just going to move on to the next game. All right, next up, we got Kansas City and Colorado. We got Reagan's 5-6 against Freeland, 0-3. Nerfy 49.5. Yeah, probably not. Looking at the odds, we see KC's a heavy favorite on the road. We got some 200s out there. 10.5 the total across the board. They expect some runs, but the runs ain't really been there in Colorado here recently. Looking at the bats, 4.3 for 13th for KC while batting 235 for 20th, and they do not strike out. First, tied for first at 4.7 in the last 3, first in the last week, fourth in the last 2 weeks. KC, super disciplined team. Colorado, 2.3 runs for 29th, 245 for 12th, and the batting average, not bad there, 7.3 for 10. So we see here that KC they score 2 more runs a game, but they're 10 points less on batting. So to me, they're about the same on the bats. Looking over at the pitching, we got Freeland going out there. We see his game like it's a 7.94 with a 1.8. And he only pitched 2 games in June. He missed a couple months, but 7-2. 3 strikeouts, 4 strikeouts. So you can see he's not really a strikeout dude. So we can see what that number is and see what we can get there. Reagan's, on the other hand, you can look at his stats real quick. We can see 3.33 with a 1.17. Has not faced Colorado recently, but the numbers are pretty good. Outside of his last game against Cleveland, he gave up 6-5 against Cleveland. Cleveland's been pretty hot recently, so that makes sense. So I want to pop over to the outlier, and the first thing I notice is Freeland. It pops up on Freeland strikeouts, and the under is favored because in his last 20 games, he's hit the under a ton. And if you're not much of a strikeout dude to begin with, and you're facing the tied for number 1 team in strikeouts, that doesn't strike out, yeah, we'll take the under of 3.5 in this one because I'd be surprised if he even gets 3. So, yeah, we'll take under 3.5 strikeouts because the Chiefs don't strike out and he's just not a strikeout dude to begin with. Number's 3.5. You can get you can get mid 100s at 150 ish. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll eat the juice a little bit. I'll eat that. So, rest of the stuff: hits, earned runs, walks, nothing really else stands out. Looking at his counterpart Reagan's here, strikeouts for him, you can see Colorado's not really striking out much. It's only 10th. Hits, earned runs, nothing else standing out there. So for the props, we're going to take Freeland under 3.5 strikeouts. Back over to the odds, we have KC heavily favored with 10.5. With these offenses being where they are, I don't trust the over 10.5. And KC does have the pitching, somewhat has the pitching advantage because you see Reagan's did get rocked against Cleveland. He gives up 3 here. Freeland's only pitched 2 games, but they've been 2 pretty good games. So I don't know if we really have an advantage here either. So for me, I'm going to lay off the side. I'm going to lay off the total. I'm going to lay off the Nerfy. We'll take the Freeland under 3.5 Ks and move on to the next game. Next up, we got Houston and Minnesota. Dubin 1-1 against Lopez, 8-6. Nerfy 48. Not with this pitching matchup because as you will see here shortly, it's going to be not a good one. Money line, Minnesota moderately favored at home, 8.5 for your total. Looking at the bats, we see Houston still hot, 6.7 for third, 262 for eighth in their last 3, while only striking out 7 times in their last 3. Minnesota is getting 6.3 runs for fourth, so both in the top 4. They're batting 299 for second in the majors, while striking out 6 times for 6. So we have 2 of the hottest offenses going against each other. Pitching, we have Pablo for Minnesota. He has faced Houston. I'm sorry. He has faced Houston. 6 hits, 1 earned, and that was May. We're over a month ago now. So that once you get so far back, does it matter as much? So you can see gave it 7, gave it 5, 2, 1. Dube, on the other hand, you could see what he does. He is a bullpen dude. This is a bullpen game for Houston, hence why Minnesota's favored. So the totals being 8.5 out there, and both offenses being as hot as they are, and we got a bullpen game, I'm instantly going to jump on over in this one. I'm taking over 8 because I expect either Dubin or whoever comes in to give up some runs to Minnesota, and Lopez has shown he has been the capability of getting hit, even though it wasn't against Houston. It was New York, who, as we know, the Yankees have not been good in June, and Tampa Bay, which is up and down. So, yeah, I'll take the over of 8. I don't even want to look at props in this one, to be honest. Nothing is really standing out because I guess we could look at Lopez props. Let's be honest. I don't look at bullpen props for real. So let's look at Lopez earned runs. Ooh, okay. 2024, his earned runs have been, wow, okay, 2.5, and he's going against Houston's offense. I might take that. Strikeouts, dude struck out 14 dudes in his last game. Before that 9. Let's look back real quick. Houston doesn't strike out much. They're 8th, they're top 10 in the majors, so I don't want to take strikeouts. So going back here, we're not going to take the strikeout prop. It's 5.5 though. Ooh, they're tempting. They're teasing. That's what they're teasing us. Okay, I see. Okay, hits. He gives up hits, earned runs. This is a hard one. This is a hard one because Houston doesn't strike out much, but 5.5 is juicy. It is tempting, but I'm going to lay off. I'm going to show restraint. I'm not going to touch it. If anything, I am going to, you know what? We're going to be smart. Bet smart, win smart. We're going to take the over of 8. The over of 8, nothing else. Just take the over, root for runs, and move on to the next game. Next up, we got Toronto and Seattle. We got Gossman, 6-7, gets Castillo, 6-9. Nerfy, 64.8. Not with these pitchers. No shot. Odds, we can see Seattle is moderately favored at home, 7.5, 7 even out there for the total. Looking at the bats, we see Toronto 4 and 236, both middle of the road. Seattle 2.7 for 27th, and last at 156 on their batting average. So Toronto has the advantage just by being normal, just by being average. They have the advantage because Seattle is struggling mightily. Toronto striking out 8 times a game the last 3. Meanwhile, Seattle only 29th. They're 11.7. So, hey, they're not last in something. So, Seattle is struggling offensively, but yet they won their last game. How they do it? I don't know. Must be magic. So, looking at the pitching side, we see Gossman has not been good. 7-7-7, 5 for 3, 6 for 4, 8 for 3. Complete game shutout against Oakland randomly, and 6 for 6. See, if it's not Oakland, dude was getting rocked. So now he's facing Seattle, who is probably worse than Oakland. So that tells you that he struck out 10 here. It's not good. Castillo, on the other hand, you can see 6 for 3, 5 4, 5 5, 4 2, 6 5. Lots of runs. We got a 7 out there. I know Seattle is struggling when it comes to bats. Toronto's doing better, but when there's a 7 on the board against 2 pitchers that give up runs, I got to take a 7. I don't care what your numbers are. We're taking over 7 in this one. So we're going to do it. We're also going to pop over some props. We're going to look at Gossman. His hits, he gives up a lot of hits, but he's facing Seattle, who's last in batting average, so I can't take that. It's just to make sure I'm not blind. Yeah, they're batting 156. I don't care. You give a pitch, sure, but you're facing the worst team in the majors currently when it comes to hitting the ball. No, I'm not. I'm not biting on that. No, the books aren't that good. No shot. I can't do it. So, looking at strikeouts, I could do strikeouts. I could, but I'm gonna lay off. We already got it over. We got a lot of plays today. I don't want to put 25, 30 plays. I want to try to keep it where I usually do. So, not going to jump on that either. Earn runs. I mean, it's getting Seattle. Can they score runs? Maybe. Will they? Probably not. I don't know. So we'll pass. Castillo, on the other hand, let's look at his props. Ks. You can see nothing stands out here. Earn runs. Now you're betting on Toronto to score runs, and it's like, yeah, I'm taking the over a 7 because it's a low number. That's it. So it's like anytime I see 6.5, I don't care who's pitching. It's an over for me. I don't care. Yeah, it might end up 2-3 final, but hey, if it does, congratulations. But most of the time, it hits the over. So for me, I'm not taking any props. The bats are where they are. You see how bad Seattle is. Toronto's middle of the road. You see the odds. I can't. Seattle favored. Are you crazy? I don't know. See, I'm not doing it. I'm not even taking Toronto money line because Gossman, as you see, is just not good. So I can't do it. So I'm just going to sit back and hope one of these pitchers bust. And I'm going to take the over 7 and move on to the next game. All right, next up, we got Arizona and San Diego. Saccone, 2-6. Vasquez, 2-4. Nerfy, no shot with these offenses and these pitchers. Odds, we can see San Diego is a slight favorite. 8.5 is total across the board. Looking at the bats, Arizona is en fuego. Hot. Spicy, whatever you want to call it. 8.7 runs their last 3 for first. They've been first in the past week. 328, number 1. They've been batting 307 for a week. The bats are on fire and getting hotter as the day goes. They got 9 runs last night while batting 308. They can't be stopped, apparently. 8.7 for 16th on strikeouts, but when you're scoring that much, you hit that well, who cares how many strikeouts you have? San Diego, 3 runs a game for 25th, 240 average for 15th, 7 strikeouts for 8th. So you can see the bats here. You see that San Diego's favored, but the bats are clearly in Arizona's advantage, so they must have the pitching advantage, right? Well, let's see. Slade's going out there with a 5.81 with a 1.26. Has not faced San Diego recently, but you can see 5.3, 5.1, 3.0. That's like a gem. 10.7 against the Angels is rough. 7.3, 5.1. He's up and down, but he's got one outlier and then mostly 1.3, 1.3, and a 0. So he's probably closer to the 3 range on runs. Vasquez, you can see, has faced Arizona 6-3 back on June 6th. Now, that is literally a month ago. So what does that really matter? Slide that 5-1, 5-0, 12-6. He has a game he got roughed up to 7-1, 6-3, 4-3. He's closer to 3 himself, probably too. So to me, these pitchers are probably closer to even than most people would think. And you see that the bats are clearly favoring Arizona. The odds are Arizona is the underdog, and the total's 8.5. I don't know if I can bet on San Diego 25th in runs and 15th in batting. So for me, for this one, I don't trust. All I want to take in this one is just take the Arizona money line because, I'm going to ride the hot bats. We're going to take the Arizona money line in this one. I don't know if I want to take it over in this one. I think Arizona. Do I want to back Slade that much? Yeah, I think I do. So, yeah, I think both pitchers are equal, but the bats are better for Arizona. So we'll take the Arizona money line. Props wise, we can look at props. I got them up over here. We can see hits. Nothing stands out. Ks. But this is Arizona. We know San Diego does not strike out, so no shot am I taking a strikeout prop. That's why it's 2.5, because we know San Diego strikes out not as much as anybody. So pass all day. Earned runs, I can't do that one. Looking at Vasquez on him, hits, he gives up a lot of hits, and he is facing the hottest offense. So 4.5 for Vasquez, yeah, all day. Over 4.5 hits allowed. We're taking that one. What's the odds? 165 is the best. There's better odds out there. Only 2 books, and then prize picks. Ugh. So you can see these two. Yeah, there's better. You can better odds. Other places to look. You might have to go to the beach, maybe go off the shore a little bit. Yeah, I'm sure you can find some more nines out there somewhere. You do a little fishing, you can find them. So, K's, no, we'll stick with hits. We're going to take Arizona money line and over 4.5 hits allowed for Vasquez and move on to the next one. All right, we have finally arrived. The Baltimore-Oakland series. I have been waiting for this series matchup for the past, since the season started, really. So Nerfies are a fun thing to play, and I always put Nerfy on the screen. I put Yerfies on the screen for fun too, but I said in a video about a month ago now, I said the Baltimore at Oakland series should feed families based on just statistics. Baltimore hits the road Nerfy 90.2% of their away games. Oakland hits the home Nerfy. This used to be 90. It has dropped. Now it's 84%. It was 90. Together, these two were averaging like an 80-something percent Nerfy, just based on what they've done this year. So I said it. I'm going to keep with it. This entire series, I think 3 games of the series, I'm taking the Nerfy all 3 days. I don't care. Baltimore road Nerfies, Oakland home Nerfies, because we know Oakland doesn't really have a home crowd presence. So that's not really a thing. And Baltimore is allergic to scoring runs on the road. So, and you see it's 75.8. So let's look at some pictures. This is all we're looking at in this game. I don't care about anything else. I'm taking Nerfies, and that's it in this one. So this is like a monumental occasion I've been waiting for. So pitchers, we got Suarez going out for Baltimore. You can see he's not bad. Outside of his Houston game, 6-3, 4-0, 5-2. Great numbers. Perfect for a Nerfy. Hogan here. Dude gives us some runs, but as long as it ain't to Baltimore in the first inning, I don't care. So I am taking the Nerfy in this one. Yesterday, we took the Baltimore Nerfy for 2 units. My first ever 2-unit play on video, and we hit it. It was a little bit sweaty. I think we had to rob a home run to do it, but guess what? We did it. So I'm going to take the Nerfy in this game. I'm not touching anything else. I want 6 outs, and I want to move on. Next game. All right, in the last game of the day, Milwaukee and the Dodgers. Milwaukee doing weird pitching things again. They made a trade, and all of a sudden the guy's starting. I didn't even know the dude got traded till this morning. Apparently he got traded Wednesday. Yeah, who knew? I did not pay that much attention. Apparently I was focused on the 4th. Yeah, my fault. So either way, he is starting today for Milwaukee. Apparently my model broke because they said he doesn't play for Milwaukee, he plays for Tampa. So I have to go and figure out how to fix that too. So yeah, trade deadline is going to mess some things up. So that's going to be fun. Dodgers are sending out Glass now, who has not been that dominant, and he wasn't that dominant last game either. 41% Nerfy. You can see, let's look at the odds. We see Dodgers are almost a 200 favorites across the board, 200s. 8 and 7, and there's a 7.5 out there for your totals. Bats, 3.3 runs for Milwaukee for 20th, while batting 279 for 3rd. Dodgers 4.3 for 13th, while batting 240 for 15th. So you can see not much of an advantage. Milwaukee's bats are the batting average is good, but the runs are low, which is either leaving people on base or I don't know, or they get picked off trying to steal. Something's going on. So 4.3 runs, 240. They're middle of the road. That's about what you expect. 5.7 strikeouts versus 8 strikeouts. Nothing stands out there. So we can look at the pitchers. We know Glass now is going out there. We see his game log, 7-5 against San Fran. It wasn't good. I mean, they won the game in extras, but 2-1's good, 3-0, 8-5. So he had 2 games he got roughed up. He gave up a couple here and there. So yeah, he's a strikeout beast, but he only had 1 strikeout against San Fran. So we see that Milwaukee is top 5 in strikeouts. So we're not taking any props for Glass now. We just can't right now. So, and this is a weird one because, okay, his logs were against Tampa. He pitched the 29th. He pitched decently, but he still got traded, so he's not that decent because they would have traded him then, because I can't see Tampa being a seller right now. So it's your first game with your new team, which is almost like your first game of the season because you got to get acclimated to like the area and the team, and it's one of those weird ones. I always like holding off. So anyone who gets traded in the trade season right now, I'm not going to take their first game because I want to see how they acclimate. They might come out. He might be a beast. He might be terrible. So I'm laying off this one. I don't trust the odds. I don't trust anything. This last game for me is going to be a total pass, and that's it. All right, that's it. That is all 15 games broken down. If you like what you saw, drop a like, subscribe, share with someone who's be broke and losing all their bets. Drop comments, let me know what you're taking in your games today, so maybe I can follow some of you and give me some comments and feedback. Let's do the recap real quick. Before that, if you like what you see with the outlier, link in the description, check that out. There's a free trial. I mean, it doesn't hurt to do it. It's awesome, as you can see. I love it. I mean, I work with them. I would use it if I didn't work with them because they are awesome. So I'm going to start implementing them more, and you'll see next week what I mean by that. So for the recap, let's do it real quick. Angels Cubs, we're going to take Steele under 2.5 earned runs. Also, we're going to take the Cubs run line 1.5 for basically even money. Mets, Pittsburgh, we're going to take Paul Skeens and hit that over 7.5 strikeouts, as well as the Nerfy. St. Louis and Washington, we're going to take St. Louis on the run line for basically even money. Boston, New York, we're going to take Cortez to allow over 4.5 hits. And we're also going to take the over of 8 in the entire game. Detroit and Cincy, we're just going to pass. That's a weird one. We're just going to pass completely. San Fran, Cleveland, we're going to take Bibee, BB, however you want to say it. We're going to take him over 6.5 strikeouts. White Sox and Marlins is a pass completely. Weird game. Philly, Atlanta, Max, Fried, however you want to say it. We're taking over 5.5 strikeouts. Tampa Bay, Texas is a pass. Just weird with the pitching. KC, Colorado, we're going to take Freeland under 3.5 strikeouts. That sounds weird, but we're taking it. KC #1 in strikeouts. Freeland not a strikeout dude. Houston, Minnesota, we're taking the over of 8. Toronto, Seattle, we're taking the over of 7, almost like an auto play because it's 7. So we're going to take that over. Arizona, San Diego, we're going to take the Arizona money line because they are dogs to San Diego. So we're going to take that plus money. And we're also going to take over 4.5 hits allowed for Vasquez for San Diego. Baltimore, Oakland, the next 3 games are automatic auto play Nerfies. It's the Nerfy series of the season. So today, tomorrow, and Sunday, Nerfy in this one. So taking the Nerfy. I don't care if it hits or not. I don't care. I'm taking it. I've been saying all year I've been wanting to play this one. So Milwaukee Dodgers is a pass because we don't know what Savali, how you going to say his name, how he's going to do. And Glasnow's not looking that dominant, so we're going to pass. So that's all the games. For a money line parlay, I am going to throw the Cubs in one just to win the game. We're going to take St. Louis to win the game. And that's it, actually. Just those two. Because I got run lines for both of them. We'll take their money line counterpart, put them in a parlay together, see if we can get even money. I'll take that. So that gives us a bunch of bets. So that's all I have. Drop some comments, like, subscribe, share, and we will see you tomorrow. Peace.